In one form or another, Deadlock's next major update feels like it's right around the corner, and every time we get close to a major update, it feels like leaks kind of start to come right along with it. Today we have a new leak I want to talk about kind of surrounding Deadlock's shop, what the game might do with cosmetics, a question I think players are going to have to ask here pretty soon. I think it's especially worth talking about here to kind of frame this leak in perspective. We're going to talk about it and kind of use it as a framework for discussion for cosmetics and what the shop could look like. But there's a really good chance that a lot of this has changed. The leak we're covering even states that it dates back to 2025. That makes it, over 9 months old. Again, kind of similar to yesterday's stuff. Difficult to know what of this is going to remain the same. Could be very, very, very work in progress. All right, but just to get right into it, today we're talking about a post from Deadlock Project 8. This is I believe, Russian-based news source that has been running Deadlock news and information for a long time. Probably, I think, even a little bit longer than I have, but they basically say here that some former playtest members have shared information about how the in-game item purchase system will work. These systems were not added to the test server. These ideas were discussed by one of the developers with other players. So what we're talking about here is, again, what essentially the shop button will eventually probably become in Deadlock. Although because it's Deadlock, it won't be a button. It'll be somewhere in the hideout you go to participate with, like, this in-game item marketplace of some kind. But to me, one of the most interesting things here and one of the kind of the biggest discussion points is the claim here that Deadlock will not feature traditional case opening gambling found in Dota or CS2. Basically talking about that, in detail here, that items are going to have rarities, but essentially it says at the bottom, Deadlock has no loot boxes. The shop and the reroll system essentially replace loot boxes and bypass anti-gambling legislation. If this were to be true, this would answer a huge question about how Deadlock's cosmetics could work, in particular about those cases that are such a kind of a hallmark of CS and CS2 culture. All in all, though, I'll kind of leave parts of this post on screen. It gets into some detail about kind of how the shop works, a similar rotating shop to like what you've probably seen in the game like Overwatch or Valorant, battle pass storylines. Basically, the overarching direction being that it seems like you'll have to kind of play to earn your cosmetics, or at least your gems that allow you to kind of re-roll or guarantee certain cosmetics that you might want. The biggest news, though, obviously being that there won't be cases that you open. All in all, though, this is very, very interesting and something I would kind of take with a grain of salt, not only because it dates back to 2025, but also, again, the post outlines that it wasn't even shared on the test server. It kind of also, devil's advocate to myself, it doesn't necessarily make sense to share this on the test server. That does seem like a place that's much more kind of designed for gameplay mechanics and kind of things that affect the actual gameplay in Deadlock, cosmetics obviously being outside of those bounds. But nonetheless, this is still a big piece of information, a big claim from Deadlock Project 8 here, again, citing some former playtest members. The biggest thing for me, why this leak is interesting and worth talking about, is it kind of gives us a somewhat of a framework of how cosmetics could be approached in Deadlock. That, to me, is the biggest takeaway here, less about the particulars, about maybe some of the rotating features, things like that, more just about how is Valve going to approach cosmetics in this game. Is it going to be that you can unlock particular skins for heroes? Is it going to be that, like, every piece of a hero's cosmetic, like the an Abrams jacket or like weapon skins, like how micro are the cosmetics going to get in this game? I would imagine with a game like Deadlock, there are going to be really endless possibilities for what you can do, and it sounds really cool to me to be able to earn those through different battle pass things, whether it be like PvE kind of story missions or just doing certain things in the game like challenges. All of that to me sounds super, super interesting. And there are plenty more questions we could be asking about cosmetics in Deadlock, moving forward from this leak. This just kind of gets us a very base level framework discussion going. But again, can you buy or trade or sell skins? When are these going to come out? Again, all of this still represents something that feels like it's in discussion, but the fact that we're at least able to talk about something of a baseline with cosmetics does potentially speak to the progress of Deadlock as a game, especially when you pair it with all of the leaks that we talked about yesterday. A lot of that stuff, everything that we talked about in the video today and yesterday are potentially things that are from 2025. We are 8.5, 9 months now removed from that. Can you imagine all the progress the developers have likely made in that time? It's when you start to put this stuff together, if all of this stuff does happen to be legitimate, if these leaks about the shop are not faked, if Lomain wasn't totally just memeing yesterday and Fishcock Nitro wasn't totally just memeing yesterday, who I think also mentioned some kind of skin marketplace. Again, if all of this stuff does happen to be legitimate and it's been worked on for the past 9 months, that to me is something really staggering and gets me just like so stoked about the update. I can't comprehend how all of this would be coming in just one update. And just to be clear, I don't think the cosmetics are likely coming in an update this week. Again, I think there's so much change on the table. Again, I'm hard pressed to think that all of this comes in one update. You know, just because it's been worked on doesn't mean it's going to be included in the next update, I guess. So maybe we get an update this week that's pretty massive. Maybe we get another one in the fall that is an open beta release and, you know, has cosmetics and all that good stuff. A boy can only dream, but I just know that whenever these cosmetics come out, y'all, it's gonna be a real problem. I'm gonna spend so much money on it, it's gonna really bankrupt the channel. So hope you're supporting me through that bankruptcy that's impending. Hope you all are stoked about cosmetics too. Let me know in the comments kind of what you're feeling for cosmetics in the game. Should there or shouldn't there be case openings? Again, just let me know all your thoughts on cosmetics in the comments. Again, this is something that might not be coming this week, but it's undoubtedly coming to the game at some point. There will be microtransactions and way to acquire in-game things in Deadlock one day. So let me know kind of your thoughts and feelings about that. Again, thank you all so much for the support on the channel. Yesterday's video did great, and I mean, all the subscribers have been really cool to see. So again, just a lot of gratitude from me. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see y'all next time.